Welcome to your introduction on Mala meditations. If you have something that looks similar to this, 108 beads, a mound bead, and a tassel, then you have yourself a mala. And this is something that's been used for thousands and thousands of years to help us meditate, help us bring our consciousness, our awareness to the present moment. It's in a really amazing way for us to start our meditations, because simply using one of our senses helps us to tame the rest of ours. Providing us some action helps us bring our mind to the present moment, and allowing our fingers, the nerves in our fingers, to feel each bead and gently pressing through them excites really awesome acupressure points that stimulate our brain, stimulate our energy, stimulate our focus, which makes it a little bit easier for us to find that meditative mind and tame our more monkey minds. So that's one awesome reason for Mala meditations. Now, Mala meditations, as I was saying, have been around for so long. Here's my little cheat book that I write all of the research I've done on meditations in. And they were created in India 3,000 years ago, with roots in Buddhism, Hinduism, and of course in yoga. Mala in Sanskrit means meditation garland, and they were originally used for japa recitations, which a japa is a mantra. Don't quote me on that, but japa meditations are mantra meditations in which we focus on our spiritual path, and we focus on something we desire to cultivate in our spiritual path. For me, present-mindedness is a really big thing. So my default meditation, or what some would say my transcendental meditation, because that's big these days, my mantra is Soham, or I am. And triggering my awareness by thinking about or allowing my mind to just see what comes up when I'm reciting Soham, inhale, so, exhale, hum, in my mind over and over again, knowing that it means I am unfollowed, not I am Brittany, I am a woman, I am a sister, I am a daughter, I am a yoga teacher, not thinking of all of these things, these labels that I use to typically to figure out who I am, to create my identity, but instead to just embrace being. I am unfollowed. That's it. I just am, and everything else is just a construct, is just something I've created in my mind. And the more I release those perspectives and those thought processes that I've built through my 28 years of experience, the more that I am in the present moment, fully experiencing, embracing the beauty of all that truly is. And that's how we use our malas, is to find something that we want, for me, present-mindedness, and find a mantra that really connects with us, that builds in our core, and use that mantra repetitively going through. And the more we stay with one mantra, the more we're going to learn about that part of ourselves. So for me, looking for present-mindedness, the more and more I use my Soham mantra, the more I identify the constructs that I have created in my mind that keep me from my present-mindedness. Now, that's not to be said that I don't change mantras. Wonderful Ganesh behind me, the remover of obstacles. Sometimes when I build up and I realize that I'm just frustrated and there's so much going on and I'm seeing so much around me as obstacles instead of experiences and lessons, when I get there, I use my Ganesh's mantra, Om Ganganapataye Namaha. And that's one that helps remove obstacles from my life and get back to embracing my Soham, my present moment. But we use these malas because they allow you to go through and recite this mantra 108 times. Now, 108 is a number that you can look all around, and it's good. You're gonna get millions of interpretations of why 108 means and what it means, and what it really means, and all of these crazy things. And not crazy. I don't like using the word crazy, because then it implies that it's diluted or convoluted, and really it's just a different perspective, and holds so much value in that perspective through that life. So please delete that from my mindset or my past. Yes, please God, delete it. But one of the interpretations that I really like, my crazy liked, was when I had found that talks about the numbers specifically, because I am more analytical, so I really relate to numbers. I like them, and I connect with them, and I see a lot all the time, like an 1111 or 42 is a big one for me, and numbers that mean something to me I relate to. So this description, if you're similar, may relate to you. And one is God, or the universe, and wipe that off if that stirs up negative feelings to you, and just looking at it as that divine inside of us, that part inside of us that knows without knowing, that doesn't even know how it knows things, but when it's saying it is so confident and feels inside, maybe I didn't learn this anywhere, but this is true, and I feel that truth pouring out of me. And that is that God-like presence inside of us that knows so much. And looking at it from a different perspective, that God-like part of us that knows the answer in so many situations, but does not yet have the words to vocalize that. And that's where the 0 comes in. 0 is emptiness or humility, or knowing that no matter how much we know, we may never be able to communicate it all to everyone. And we may never be able to give it to everyone. And just because we know something doesn't mean that it's going to change the face of humanity. And accepting that, and having humility in the fact that for all there is to know, there is so much more to be known, and there's not enough words to share this knowledge. And under the constructs that we're in right now, embracing that emptiness inside of us, that part of us that is ignorant and doesn't always have the answers. And that's the 0, the 1 and the 0, and then we're left with the 8. Take the 8, turn it to the side, and you have an infinity symbol. And now this is such an amazing symbol. It's a representation of timelessness, and the fact that even though time plays such a big role in our lives, that it's, if you look at quantum physics, quantum mechanics, it's something that we really don't even understand. We think it's structured, we think it's consistent, it's not. We think it's linear, absolutely not. None of the things we truly believe about it really hold value other than in our minds. And this leaves us to this timelessness, this unending reality that we don't need to be perfect. That emptiness inside of us is perfect. That is beautiful, because the journey is what it's about, not the destination, not striving for perfection, rather, or being perfect, but journeying towards a kaizen, a little bit better every day, and knowing that even at the end of this existence, the end of this life for us, time doesn't really exist, and there's still so much more beyond us. And I love that interpretation. Now, 108, there's also 108 comes up a lot in the Upanishads, one of our sacred texts on yoga. There's supposed to be 108 marma points, they say, or sacred places in the body. 108 pithas, these sacred sites throughout India. 108 just comes up a lot in a lot of different ways. So that's one interpretation of why there's 108 beads. Another way to look at it is just that it's putting a good amount of effort into it. 108 is not a little bit. That's a larger amount. So just simplistically citing a mantra 108 times, it usually takes anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes, depending on how fast your breath is moving. And if you're willing to dedicate yourself to going around something 108 times, the more and more you're willing to do that, the more and more your spirit is cultivating that desire, that will to transform in that direction. And that's why Japa Mala meditations are so powerful. And they're such a great way for us to start, because again, we have something to keep our senses here and now, which is going to make it easier to keep our mind here and now. Now that's what Mala meditation's created for. Practically, they were created 3,000 years ago when life was a bit more boring in a lot of ways, and not in a lot of ways. I know back, they probably look at us now and think that we're boring, sitting on our phones with the stimulation just coming from there and not experiencing life as much. But that being said, there wasn't as much to stimulate, constant stimulation coming at people on a daily basis, so their attention spans were naturally easy. I believe I wasn't there. This being of me wasn't there, so I don't have 100% knowledge. But what feels the most true to me is that at that time, attention was easier to keep. So a Japa Mala meditation is something that seemed more realistic. These days, our mind can move so fast on a given day that sometimes a mantra may not work for you. You may sit down, start to recite your mantra, and realize 2 beads into it, you lost it. You come back, 2 beads in, lost it. Now, here's where we don't worry so much. We got our mala, that's good. The step down from Japa Mala and reciting is just breathing into each bead, feeling the breath enter, feeling it leave, moving on to the next, showing your seriousness for your practice by breathing into it, calming your body down, easing your mind, just feeling that. That being said, that's going to take 8 to 15 minutes to go through each one with a nice deep breath. For some of us, we might not be ready for that. Only we know in our hearts where we're at. And if we're not quite ready for that, you don't need to give up on meditating. Please don't give up on meditating, because it's not going to get better by just running away from the tension you're feeling and meditating. Instead, let go of the constructs, let go of the needs for perfection here. And don't feel like you need to breathe into each bead. Right before this, I sat down right here to meditate. I had 2 cups of coffee this morning. That's why I'm speeding up, going a little bit fast. So instead of breathing into each bead, even trying to recite, I let my fingers go through each bead, slow and steadily, just breathing. Still going nice deep breaths, but let my fingers go at the pace they wanted to be going, keeping them active so I could focus on my breath. Using your mala as it makes sense to you. Thank you so much for taking this time to learn about mala meditations with me, and I truly hope that you stick with your practice and come back to this channel for some inciting guidance on different mala meditations and how to use them. to fulfill your spiritual desires and your spiritual journey. Namaste.